Hey everyone, welcome to War Legends RTS. My name is Kabi, and today we are going to watch the light versus light, so the mirror matchup. In the bottom right corner, as the blue light player, appears Dominator, who we saw in the previous video and witnessed him playing the dark faction and the most imbalanced strategies, they call that out there on ladder. But he also saw the video and there I mentioned that we are about to nerf that combination a little bit, Minion X Masters and the heroes. So it didn't take much time for Dominator to switch to the light faction and start practicing this as well. But honestly, of course, I'm kidding, because most of the strong players play both factions during the testing at least. And anyways, in the top left corner we have Mr. Big Cat, also known as Markley, the winner of the two community tournaments we hosted inside the Russian region in January and February. And he mostly mains the light faction, even though obviously he did play for dark as well to at least learn basics. And here we see him doing his trademark build order, which is 16 barracks, late swordsman, early farm, and up to 9 workers. And in this particular case we also see him adding sawmill even earlier than the tier 2 castle. Dominator is doing the similar build, but the difference is that he's not getting sawmill. Actually, I like the Dominator's build order better, because I don't really get it why do you need sawmill on this map, because trees are pretty close to the castle, so you don't win a lot of wood, but you have to spend wood to get it, and gold as well, so not sure if it's even worth this earlier. And now we see Dominator go into the Elven tree as well as the Altar of Heroes, which means that he's about to play the fast princess. Well, not really the fastest, but the first hero princess with the strong economy of 9 workers. That's what we are gonna see. And Markley sees that as well with his first scout swordsman, and his reaction is very interesting. He was playing the 2 barrack swordsman archer actually, but he cut the swordsman entirely, and the moment he sees opponent going princess, he is putting his own princess. So Elven tree was planned anyway, but the Altar of Heroes pretty much wasn't planned, because if it was, he wouldn't be doing 2 barracks without scouting. So it is possible that the player can build the second barracks just in case if he was being rushed, but you can pretty much add the second racks when you come in with the first scout. So it doesn't really make much sense to me to build the blind 2 barracks if you are not gonna spam units from it. So I'm quite sure that Markley did this, opt for this, when he saw his opponent build order, because princess is quite good against swordsman, obviously, because swordsman has the minus 30% resistance to the magic damage, and the princess deals the magic damage, and they also clean, they stack in the close groups, and princess with her active ability does a very good job against those. So here comes the time of the first chests, as Dominator has the princess earlier. He's about to get ability very soon, while Markley isn't really gonna get abilities soon. But his princess is gonna do fine along with the mates she came here with. And on this part of the map, Dominator decided to go for harass with his princess, but look what does the Big Cat do. He decided to build the light magic tower so that he counters the princess entirely. But here, obviously, one red swordsman was unable to take the chest, and that means that the chests are 1-1. Each player took one, and Dominator starting to harass the worker line, but Markley already got his archers on point, and the arrows went entirely off the place. And now this blue princess will have a hard time leaving this base, because she will receive a lot of damage, and Dominator chooses the top path. But well, light magic doesn't strike that far, so the princess is able to retreat, but she's very low. And here we see no sanctuary, so that means no healing. And since there is no mana tower as well, Dominator can use the healing scroll anytime soon. And meanwhile, Markley is going for the Fire Elemental to take the mana well, to be able to use his own strong scrolls. So far, he doesn't even have the mana tower. As Dominator doesn't either, but well, you can at least spam the cheap scrolls, such as the Gold Rush, and both players do that currently. And here comes the Sanctuary, so both players will be adding the healers, and just see how that game of Zwei affected how the light faction's being played now. It's just one game that I saw, and I decided to record it to share it with the community, both Russian and now not Russian, the international community, because we also recorded that game in English, and make sure to see it on our channel. And before that, light players stopped to use the healers on a high level, so everyone thought that the healers doesn't make the impact to build, to spend the food and resources. But anyways, let's see how this fight will turn on, because Markley does a very good job with his princess. He runs in, and does very good arrows on the blue archers, and that's what led the red player to take the middle chest, and with a perfect magic blast he finishes off the hero as well as a few archers. And now the red archers advance. We see the healer coming to not really save, but make those units more durable, if you will. And now Dominator is getting his girls back on the battlefield. Two archers are doing a good job healing those, and two swordsmen here are being forgot. And this is funny, that means that Dominator doesn't use that choose all the army button, which I really recommend to use you from time to time, because of course you want to make an accurate control, and that's why you probably want to avoid using that button, but that might mean that sometimes you just don't fight with all of your army. But probably those swordsmen just placed on the hold position, I'm not sure. Anyways, Markley is about to advance on his enemy and to go up straight. The princess using his crit, but passives being dropped, and here comes the meteor from the Dominator. Significant damage to 4 of those archers. Now Dominator shows the good micro, stacking his archers to have an advantage in terms of not really the amount of units, but they was better positioned, and his princess is full HP and she has the arrows, but Markley really split it quite good in my opinion, so Dominator didn't hit a lot. And in the meantime we see Paladin being built. This is funny bug that you may occur to you in the game too sometimes. with the Altar of Heroes being displayed like under the ground. That happens because of the upgrades sometimes. I hope it will be fixed in our game, but I'm not sure. Last time I saw the replay, it didn't happen, but it's just a visual bug, so... Anyway, I hope we'll fix it soon, we have it reported. In the meantime, we see that the Dominator is trying to get his mana well back, and the Monkley got his own mana well untouched. And it is 10th minute mark. The little chests been just captured, and the big chests are not coming anytime soon. Okay, now we see the altar is fixed. Very good. And Markley is adding the factory. I'm not sure if he's doing it just in case, or if he's really gonna add something like Ballista or probably the bikers. But for wherever he needs to add more stuff, like Human Monument Tier 2 for the Ballistas and Dwarven Forge if he's gonna play bikers. He doesn't have either of those. And instead he's about to start engagement with his Paladin diving inside the archers using the Dome of the Light, but see how fast does it go down with the 2 circle of powers from both sides. But of course Dominator uses his circle of power earlier, so those archers really took down the Paladin really quickly. But the princess went down as well, which is even worse. And so the big cat is losing this battle like entirely. And why did that happen? Is because he was attacking having no supporting auras, while Dominator was fighting under the Human Monument, which increases your crit chance as well as your crit damage. And this is the reason, even though you may think like the crit chance is not that big, it is a thin chance that it will even work, but on a long distance the chance also increases damage by a solid margin. And when you have like 15 archers, they do a lot of shots, so that is somewhat a distance, and that is where that crit chance really comes into play. And we saw how it works, how it results, because current result is +2 food for the blue player, so that's what even first tier Human Monument doing to the units when you fight it. And that is why attacking on the main base is hard in this game. So you must remember that if you attack into the race building auras, it is always harder. Well, it is not harder if you attack into the Undead Obelisk, an enemy doesn't have undead, but the other buildings really shine with any units. Dominator decided to face check with the princess, but he sees that his enemy has quite a lot. Here, not only the Human Monument, but also the Elven Tree will affect the battle. So Dominator's about to pull back and probably just take the 15th minimark big chest, while Cat is gonna steal the enemy's mana well. Dominator does the same currently, so that's a good idea, but I'm not sure if he can make it because the army is right here. But look what's happening. Dominator is starting to attack at the same time when Cat left to defend his mana well. And now the army is split, and that's probably not the best decision, and Cat will probably lose this mana tower that will allow Dominator to use the Meteor somewhere like here. Oh, okay, he opts for the Circle of Power, and here Dominator's probably about to use his thing to take down the buildings quickly. He starts to get the Human Monument, and it goes down, I mean, and Paladin is about to use the Dome of the Light, and I'm not sure if it was a good idea to retreat from this one, because the Dome of the Light's been used anyway. but the position is lost, and the position is not any superior anymore. Dominator using the panic healing scroll, but I really doubt that many units will retreat. Cat doing the best he can, and the best the Dominator can do is to get these chests now, but his princess just passes by, and that is the huge mistake, because all that happened was the terrible mistake by Dominator, because what he had to do was to make sure that by having the army right here, he can take all the 3 chests. That was, like they say, your only job. Well, that was quite a job, alright, but notice that he's changing his army composition to wind mages right now. Well, probably he wanted to trade, but he had to delay that trade and in the first place get the chests, because the wind mages are incredibly expensive in gold. They are of 450 gold worth. That's really a lot, and if you mass the wind mages even from a single sanctuary, you can't really also get heroes and the archers from 2 It is impossible, because your 1 gold mine just doesn't give that amount of income. That is a simple math. You can't do that, and that is why the chests are crucial. And he just lost all of them, all 3, as well as the army, but he's fine replenishing his army. His army will be maxed out very soon, but the time is lost and the initiative is lost. So what is Cat doing now is he's doing the perfect strategy. He found where he can fight. That happened by his enemy's mistake, alright, but he used that. He used it perfectly, and he grabbed all the chests, and now he doesn't let his enemy those mana wells, so he will be having the superior amount of mana in each the engagement. So he will be getting the better scrolls. In terms of what scrolls does player have in the game, obviously they all have everything, because we are on testing. So it is only about mana to see who can use what, and the cat has the big upper hand in this regard. But anyway, we are about to start a fight, and probably the wind mages can make the difference, because they obviously do the splash damage, and it is quite good against the little targets such as skeleton archers or the elven archers. But now Dominator decided to pull back. Probably he thought that the red archers was split only too good. We can probably agree, but that means that the Meteor can do the trick, because now they went into a very tight squad, and the red paladin is not able to retreat. But the healing scroll does a really good job for Markley, and see how fast his archers being healed. They were very low, but wind mages didn't take their time to use that, and now they are already almost full. But anyway, that was a very good fight, and the very good Meteor in the first place, but now probably that's not the best position, but I'm not sure. At least we see that the Dominator decided to proceed. Alright, he takes down Paladin. That is the 1000 resources, so that's not bad. But you really want to avoid losing the wind mages, because they are being built like forever. And this position is of course killer, you just can't engage in that. Blue Paladin as well as one wind mage goes down immediately. And alright, Dominator really has to deal with those mana wells. He is lacking the reaction time really bad. So he is quite good in fighting. He does the good fights. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't take care of the mana wells. See how this one is being entirely not defended by anything. So he could capture it with a single worker, but he didn't do this just because he didn't think about this. And of course, that is the poor play. Even though Dominator is a very good player, but we all do mistakes. And when you see all the map open, of course, it is a very simple thing to judge, right? So it is easy to judge, and it is much harder to make the right decision when you are playing. But anyway, mistake is a mistake, and he lost a lot of mana because of this. But he is about to get maxed soon, anyway. And he grabbed the bottom chest, and he failed to grab the top one once again. I'm not sure, probably he had to build a knight to take down this archer, and the archer on this mana well. Knight could really do a good job against those, but he didn't think about that. And what he thought about is probably if the chest thing is getting better, probably he has to make the second sanctuary. Even though, I mean, he's about to be maxed out, so he's about to get his bank, because he can spend resources over the max food, obviously. So what you can do when you can't attack, this is a very important thing, because a lot of beginner players struggle to finish off the game, because obviously you can't attack in this. And in this particular game we already saw how on the opposite side of the map the red army vanished trying to attack, and the players just can't finish the game. They can't win the game they win. And the very important thing to do is when you're maxed out and you have your bank collecting, you have to add more production. And that is precisely what Dominator does. He adds a second sanctuary, so once he will spend his food in the engagement, here can use the 100 of mana for gravity, just one wind mage, which is a mistake, and here he loses the paladin, which is another mistake, so that's not going good for Markley again. And you might wonder then how did he become the best player, but the problem of Markley is he's living pretty far from the servers, so his ping not really good. And well, just micro isn't the only thing you need to do to win in War Legends. And he does the good decisions which we see in this game. So he can sometimes miss micro, but he doesn't really do stupid things, which is really impressive sometimes. So now Markley is really trying not to give the fight that he doesn't have to give. He get his paladin back, and his archers are all alive. And Dominator are getting back his wind mages. He can build one more actually. So Markley has to think out something to fight against this army, and he decided that he'll be getting the Elven Treaty too as well. The funny thing that he also upgraded the factory, and it still can't be used for basically anything, because there are no human monument 2 and there are no dwarven forts, so this T2 factory can still only build the copters. And obviously you don't wanna build copters against the mass archers. And again here comes the meteor, but Big Cat was able to react fast enough with his defense scroll, so that protected the healer as the instance, and also archers get less damage. And now the scroll's coming down, only those archers that are near the paladin getting the extra armor. And probably here Cat shouldn't even move his archers, because in my opinion he did even worse. So he could just leave it as it is, it would be better, but he decided to retreat, he decided to pull back, and once again Dominator has the better engagement. Why is that? is he's through the two very good scrolls, and also Markuli is really losing control, losing the grip of his paladin. I'm not sure why this is happening. This seems like the room for improvement to me. Well, it is better to lose the paladin than the whole army, obviously, but still it seems that with his level of play that is like slightly out of place, you know. And here the guys forgot about the chest, it seems. So Cat, who is being pushed into his own base, are getting this chest even quicker than Dominator, who has all the opportunities he might need to get this. And what is he's doing right now? There is 2 tier 2 factories, as well as the Dwarven Forge and the Bot Barracks being graded to the tier 2 as well. So he's probably about to get the bikers as well as the snipers. And now that is the big switch, because so far he was only playing elves along with the Gilbert, but now he's probably about to use the scrolls on the archer and then to try to finish them off with the bikers, which can really work well sometimes. And Cat is pretty much aware of this strategy because he plays that as well. And now it seems that it's not the perfect meteor because it doesn't hit a lot. And let's see what kind of a change will it make. The blue paladin is about to tank all of the damage he can and then die, and the red one does the same thing. But the blue paladin really lives longer, probably because Cat's trying to take down the wind mage. But those healers are doing a really good job healing this unit, and now Dominator wins the fight again. And Big Cat is about to get his own wind mages because he sees how difficult it is to overcome the army containing wind mages if you don't have them on your side. So in this game I think the sort of the support wind mages really shine, because just see how good they do. And now we see the archer coming on the second base, and that is the thing that probably Dominator had to do a lot earlier. So he's about to take the second base, I think, and I think that probably he should have taken it like 5 minutes earlier. But anyway, if you don't know how to take the second base with just one archer, then Dominator is about to show you how, because you probably doesn't know that, but one meteor can deal with all the pack of the rats one shot. So you can not even use the battle unit, but just come with the worker, throw the scroll and build a castle right away. And Markley is doing the great job right now. He still can't even leave his own base, but he finds an opportunity to steal the enemy's mana well, which is really cool, which will probably allow him to have the upper hand in terms of the scrolls in the next engagement, because he doesn't know that, but we know that Dominator used all of his mana on the meteor. So his mana will replenish really long. It will take a long time for him to get over 100. And now Dominator also retreating with his princess for this one single archer. So he took another unit to take back the mana well, and in the meantime Markley already got 150 mana, which is quite a lot. But Dominator still can't see an opportunity to finish off the army, and Markley thought that probably he can start engagement now, because he has all of a sudden more wind mages. And see how Markley uses his gravity scroll to take down those birds all at once, and now it will be 4 wind mages against 0. which is quite a big margin. And guess what? It is the 30-minute mark. It is not Markley going down from his high ground for nothing. He only does it when there's a precise reason. And the precise reason this time around are the scrolls, including the big scroll in the middle of the map. So he is forcing the enemy's army to retreat entirely, and he takes this one, and he can even take the other one at least. And here Dominator is rushing on his side of the map because he is afraid of being suddenly attacked by this army, so he doesn't even take the bottom chest. And Markley takes a big advantage in resources once again. Now here comes the meteor from the red player. One healer goes down immediately and the others are low. This paladin has having a hard time retreating using the Dome of the Light, but it is being blew off almost immediately. Blue paladin goes down. Meantime, Dominator using the healer scroll. He already got 2 wind mages on the map, but that is not enough, so he has to retreat again. But the good news for him is he has the second base mining, so he really has a high gold income, which is already in his bank, and this is precisely why he had to make this even earlier, because he really did have this money in the bank, while Big Cat didn't, because he did the bad engagements. But now, after the mid chest being captured, Cat is getting better, but he still has the lower resources bank. Just see it in the bottom panel how less the red players still have, and his castle is only now built, has been built, and again archers fighting each other. The levels are very similar, so the blue archer wins just by the little margin, but here comes the magic blast, so the archer goes down and is not being able to recapture the mana well. So Cat is getting a lot of mana from 2 wells, and Dominator is not doing pretty much anything, not getting anything. And here we see the gold mine went down entirely for the blue player, and it is about to be depleted for the red player. So here comes the second, here is the moment where the second basis becomes necessary, not just facultative, and here where the big cat shines again, because he sends just one single wind mage, which denies this mine entirely. For some reason, Dominator didn't build a single defending tower. He could build probably the light magic tower to defend from the wind mages, but he didn't. He also could build a human tower because he has the monument, but he hasn't either. So that is the problem, and one single wind mage does the bad things to the blue player economy. And here comes the Markley with his engagement again, the perfect defense scroll on pretty much everything, and Dominator's trying to retreat. He's doing a good job retreating from those arrows though, and the Paladin's still alive. Archers coming probably too close, I'm not sure, but they're trying to take down wind mages as fast as they can. The blue princess using the arrows, and blue paladin is still alive somehow. I believe that Markley is trying not to focus it, but probably this is the rare case where not focusing the tank was a mistake, because now Gilbert used his Dome of the Light, so he's been dealing damage like forever, and you have not to really underestimate the damage that Gilbert does, because he's like it is not looking like he's dealing a lot, because he's just been slowly attacking with his beat sword, but the numbers does the thing, you know, and he really deals a lot if he has the distance. And in this engagement he did like, I don't know, 30, 40 hits, and that is not less, you know. Anyway, here comes the switch, and we see that rather than building even more archers, Dominator decided to switch off to the bikers, mostly because his opponent's starting to get wind mages, so he tries to counter those with the bikers, and it obviously makes sense because bikers are mech, while the wind mages attack with the magic, so they don't do a lot of damage to the bikers, as well as the other any other mech units. And Dominator also noticing that he doesn't have a lot of mana to use Alien Scroll, so he's getting healers, but that's not too fast. And here comes the biker defending from those wind mages. I still really think that he needs the light magic tower, I'm not sure why he's not building one. But probably he wants to remax his army in the first place. Big Cat is capturing this mana well once again with just a single healer, the most irrelevant unit inside the engagement probably. It is very important between the engagement to make the sort of a pit stop to the units, but in the engagement, during the engagement, healers doesn't impact that lot, but they still do something, obviously. Now the two archers being sent on the lower well again, so cats really pay a lot of attention to this position, even more attention than Dominator does. So it is 124 against 122 food once again, so both of the players are pretty much maxed out. And the cat's trying to push in, probably get the second base, but Dominator already has the bikers. Let's see how it will work. Cat's using the defense scroll on everything, but Dominator in a change throws the meteorite on the head of those archers. The wind mages flew very far away, not sure why, but here they come back and they blew off all of those poor archers, and the blue paladin still alive, hitting this princess, well, along with the red wind mages. The princess takes down the paladin, and I'm not sure if the blue player even has to retreat, but he sees that he doesn't have a lot left and probably wants to repair those bikers for free in the Dwarven Forge aura, which is the tier 2 already, so it really repairs quickly. And that biker went away from the mining line because Dominator was scared of not winning the big engagement, so here he can't defend his mining line anymore. And here comes the 37th minute mark chest, and Markley is about to take it again, and I think it is the point where the blue player can't turn it back anymore, because he lacks a lot of mining and he spent all of his bank, and he can't max out again. He can't max out again, and here the red player used the gravity scroll advance on this, and again the meteor trying to save the day, and that was the good one, I must say. Paladin's still alive though. Probably will not be able to retreat from this because bikers do a lot of damage to Mr. Gilbert. But here comes the first, probably the second biker from the Markley himself, because we remember this factory tier 2 being built for a long time. This is the second one being added, and probably somewhere there is the Dwarven Forge in almost the middle of the map to heal those bikers quicker. Again, the gravity scroll on the wind mages that allow the red player to take those down, and Dominator doesn't have enough money to recreate those wind mages anymore, so I'm not sure. Probably he should have opted for the snipers as well, because he did upgrade those racks for the reason, but they never came into play. I guess the Dominator thought that snipers wouldn't be working good against the archers, but they would work better against the heroes, and they can as well do the good job against the archers because of the shooting range. But Dominator decided not to do so, so he keeps building up his bikers. Solo bikers are, of course, the very comfort army composition to Micro, because they can fire while moving, so it is hard to use them along with something else. So it is easier, but I'm not 100% sure that easier means better in this particular case. And now the big cat does the very good tactical movement. He bites the blue units to the second base and gonna cut it in this corner, because the second base is not the main base. You can't defend it as good because there are no raised buildings as well as no towers, so it is just a position, it is just a high ground, but high ground doesn't do you that kind of an advantage, so these units just can retreat and they'll be killed off here, and the castle goes down as well, and this game is done. And it goes for Big Cat, who's been defending on his own base for such a long time and's been losing the fights for such a long time too, because we can remember all of those perfect meteors that Dominator was throwing on the blue army heads. But what did red player do much better is he was doing the macro game. He was doing the strategical plays with pulling back when he has to and with attacking when he has to, when there are things on the map, the strategical macro things where he had to do, obtaining the chest, taking the mana wells and stuff like this, and that allowed him to win the game even though he was losing the engagement. And he didn't have to kill the base, which was hard to kill, because you can always wait when the base is mined out. So if you guys have trouble with finishing the game, just play a thing, not do the stupid attacks, take more chests and try to play patiently, because the defending is always a strategy in RTS, and in War Legends is working too, but the most patient and the most clever and strategical players usually win. So that is the point of this video, and I hope it will be useful and the example of our best players so far performing will be useful for you guys to get better. I hope you liked this one. Make sure to sub to our channel so that you don't miss more. And that's it for today. I'm done, and my name is Kabi, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.